And request that we go back into an open session with a recording.
Make a motion to go back into open session with a recording.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's go fast. We are back to mosquito update. Crystal, we already talked about that. I'm not going to recording. So if we.
So the season, the mosquito control project, the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project has begun larval mosquito control in Billerica. It's a good service for the community. Part of it is treatment, would it be a helicopter and aerial larval spray. And then they also respond to individual properties if someone wants mosquito treatment on their property.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Next up is the Billerica Health Department monthly newsletter.
So I just want to preface that these are from the intern, and these are topics that she selected, and they have not been posted to the website, but I wanted to get feedback from the board before they go on the website.
All right, Bobby, do you have any feedback?
I wish I had the letter back in September, but forget that part. I think she does a marvelous job on these. She's to be commended. And get an A in her class.
Nick?
I just will comment on that, the letter for June, summer safety. I think, it would be nice if we can post similar letter, near to the pond,
Near the Nunnings Lake.
yeah,
The beaches, the ponds, the water parks.
I think it's nice.
Good feedback.
All right. Chris?
Yes, on the subject of A, that there are several inaccuracies here. Potential lung damage, that doesn't happen. And I think that we are sort of in a crisis with science communication in general in this country, and it's best to remain factual. So I would like to see the potential lung damage removed.
I can make that modification, thank you.
And that's sometimes marketed as a safer alternative, and we don't promote, but it certainly is a safer alternative. That is how the rules of research. Addiction without smoking.
So are you saying that baking's okay for high school kids?
No, of course not, but neither is smoking,
Okay,
neither is drinking, other drug use.
so what's wrong with leaving it in there if it's hazardous to,
Because it's incorrect. And just like with DARE, when you.
Incorrect.
Children,
incorrect in whose opinion?
sciences,
Well, I'd like to see the facts on that rather than just,
it all goes back to evolving,
okay,
which was never anything to do with nicotine vaping.
I just like to see it in, the facts about it as opposed to someone's opinion that it's incorrect and to be removed.
I'll be more than happy to email.
And
you
I would
all.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Crystal, work with Crystal on potential modification.
I would be happy to see what you propose. So I'm excited to see that. No, I think I'm always wanting to make sure that we provide factual information to the public. So that the work that she has compiled and put together. So if you want to send some language over, that I'd be open to that. Yeah. Or maybe we could just be silent and remove it or relate it to nicotine addiction. Because that's also a concern too, but that's also highly regulated to youth
And to adult.
and to adults in this in Massachusetts.
Thank you. Next item is the next meeting is May 3rd, 2025. We good with that?
Perfect. I am.
All right. Our next thing is 7:15. We're a little behind. It's 7:32. And it is Bell's Smoke Shop, 852 Boston Road, show cause hearing for tobacco sales, permit suspension, second violation of tobacco control regulations. Chapter 4 and 105 CMR 665.000. Please come up and identify yourself, name and address, and then we will go from there.
Hi all, my name is Darwin Patel. I'm owner of Bhakti LLC. That's a corporation name, and DBA Bell Smoke Shop, 852 Boston Road, Billerica. I am Billerica resident as well, and yeah, I truly apologize for that. But after that incident, I added ID scanner in my POS system, so without ID check, the transaction won't go through. So that's what I add that functionality in my POS. After that, but I'm truly sorry about that incident's happened.
Crystal, would you like to add some information and context?
I would like to bring up Ron Beauregard. He's the one that conducted the tobacco compliance checks. If you had additional questions for him, he would provide you information as well. He's worked with all the realtors in town. Great job.
Ron, can you give us a brief description of what happened, the incident?
I just wanted to say, due to the fact that there's not a dispute in the facts in this case, we did do our routine compliance checks, and Mr. Patel, accurately provided the information that occurred. It is an act of negligence, mistake, not intent. The regulations do provide for 105 CMR 665, provided for that large fine. This is something we've tried to grow accustomed to since the state made an adjustment in June of 2020. Other than that, the only other thing I would like to say is compliment Mr. Patel for putting in that system. I am going to have a meeting via Zoom. I'd like to participate if possible.
Sure.
I have met with many of the retailers. I have worked with 350 retailers throughout 19 communities with the record. And I have found another that have instituted ID check, ID scan requirement. You're not alone, and I think there are some liquor stores as well as the CC. I had a meeting with the CCC a couple of months ago about this marijuana establishment policy, the vast majority of which do engage in that system to make sure. I'd like to bring the stings to an end, as we like to call them. We call them compliance checks. I use the parlance that I'm told by the retailers, and I understand that. So, and if you want me to go in regard to the local regs and the state regs for the what it calls for. Now it does, the state regulations do call for that $2,000 fine. The language in 105 CMR calls for 1 to 7 day suspension. However, your local regulations, I noted that the word may is in that language about the suspension. So suffice it to say, my opinion is that the $2,000 fine is a stiff fine. I'll leave it up to the board to consider with the regulations. You're welcome.
Can I ask you, so what happened? Was it the person went in without an ID and received the cigarettes, or went in with a fake ID?
Yes, they don't use fake IDs, they go in without the ID.
Yeah, yes, no way.
So to me, it seems like there's a fundamental problem that the scanner may not solve.
Oh, yeah, it would, well, at least the potential is that it would solve many problems, because it wouldn't allow any staff to, the tough things for the owners and the managers is they will do lots of training
Oh, so
But
in order to sell, you have to scan it.
Yeah.
Ah,
so
okay.
we-
I thought it was
AID,
just.
not necessarily Chris's ID, it has to be AID.
Right, so I was thinking it back from my days as a doorman, someplace, a nightclub, someplace that had those, they would say it's a real ID by scanning it. Not a real ID like we all have to get now, but that it's not
Yeah.
a true ID, but that didn't mean it was the right person using it, but this is just, they have to have an ID present to actually purchase the product, okay. Okay,
And it comes with some, you know, to do it as you're doing it without it being a requirement, the scanning. Comes with some hurdles, I believe, as, although I've heard some contrary evidence that passport, I never knew there was such thing as a passport sale, but apparently this occurs, but
Yeah, unfortunately,
you wouldn't be able
we,
to
yeah,
scan.
won't be able to
I
scan that.
understand, yes, and I'm not certain of it or not, but the military idea.
No, that would be
difficult. Now, as someone who did a short stint in boot camp training, I think what I would like to, if we get the education out and this occurs on a more frequent basis, or perhaps in the future in a obligatory way for an ID scanner, that those with a military ID just understand, and those with a passport can understand that. I think it's, I might be having wrong amount, I checked this out a while ago, $35 or $50 for just an identification, even if you don't drive Massachusetts registered motor vehicles. That would put you all set, purchase full alcohol in.
Thank you.
Bobby, questions?
What's the town regulation on a fine? I know the state's 2,000, but what's our,
Yeah,
Well, oh, go ahead.
100, 200, 300, 300. The state law rules us with this,
The state law,
because it's stricter.
yeah,
so the state, so we can't enforce the 1, 2, 3?
No,
That supersedes us.
Because my personal opinion is $2,000 fine is ridiculous. Ridiculous,
you're not alone, you're not alone.
ridiculous. He didn't sell the cigarettes, some kid sold the cigarettes to a kid, and he's paying a price of $2,000. I'm back.
I gave that context for the purposes of the other issue, suspension, so that's why I made those comments.
Ahmed,
I agree with Bobby, but we have to follow the state law, you know, we can't just ignore it. But it's an unfortunate situation, you know, that's what I would say, but other side is, it would provide more highlight and more security, you know. And I really appreciate installing that scanner.
No comments.
all right, what is the board's? I will take a motion
To what?
to put a 1-day suspension suspended on record.
Without the fine?
He's already paid the fine. The $2,000 has already been paid. That's a copy of the
So
check.
now we're gonna punish him more,
Suspended.
suspended for 1 day. That's punishing.
No,
him
no.
more.
He had
What is he here for?
requesting a 1-day license suspension.
Who is?
The
We
Board
are?
of Health is, but we are suspending that. We are not enforcing it.
Because of
If he gets caught again, there's a another discussion. But he has a 1-day suspension, but we are not making him serve it. We are suspending it.
they're suspending the suspension.
Right. Can I have a motion to that effect?
I make a motion to suspend the 1-day summation with the statement that if this repeated again, you know, you will be subjected to more severe punishment in the future.
Second,
So we have a motion and a second to have a 1-day suspension to be suspended and not served. But don't let us see you there again. All those in favor?
I,
Opposed? 4-0.
It's 1 day close.
No,
no, it's suspended,
it's suspended.
it's a,
You have the punishment, but we're saying you don't have to serve it.
now,
she's my wife, so she,
Does that make sense?
she's here for like,
Thank
you
you
know,
for that.
yeah.
Thank you. Really
Don't do it again.
I really,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you for paying your fine very quickly. All right. We are into our next hearing, which is Jim's Quick Stop, 502 Boston Road, Charlotte Cause hearing for tobacco sales, permit suspension, second violation, tobacco control regulation. Chapter 4 and 105 CMR 665.000. Sir, please step up. Yep. Mm,
My name's Isaac Koch. One of the owners of Jim's Quick Stop. It's actually SI LLC doing business at Jim's Quick Stop, 502 Boston Road.
Can you spell your name?
KOT is the last name.
And you said Isaac was your first name?
ISAAC.
Thank you very much.
All right, please tell us what happened.
Well, one of our employees was in the same kind of situation that that last person had. Somebody came in, I guess without an ID, I don't know the full thing, but it turns out it was underage, and they sold a pack of cigarettes. And, you know, we have a system of register at point of sale. You're supposed to put in age, supposed to get take a look at an ID. We're actually in the process of trying to get a new POS system that forces scanning of an ID. We've been looking into it for the last month. Trying to make certain that the company that's doing it will have all the things that we need to link to our accounting system and whatever. As you said, you know, my partner is there most of the time. And when the person is hired, they're trained. And when we do have the POS system, they show that they're supposed to make certain that the person's of age.
Ron?
So, really, first of all, Sam and I talked, have a good, very good relationship. I have no question about his intentions, his hard work, and his reinforcing message to all staff, to ID. Just perhaps the rationale, we very discussed the very thing that we discussed in the earlier hearing, which was the potential for a scanner. Again, going out on a limb, I say on a limb, the reason why I want to explain it, for a retailer to do it on their own is a tougher decision than if it was a requirement across the board, because they risk the idea, or they risk the potential for customers who get upset, perhaps someone that looks more like me, that gets asked for an ID to be scanned, and I just maybe toss something, right? And say, I'm going somewhere else. So I've heard this is a tough thing to do on your own, but it's balancing that and these compliance checks, also known as stinks. So he's gone through a lot with this, and I feel the same way as I did with Mr. Patel. We're here to build the relationships. The toughest part of my job is to focus so much on the education and to build a relationship. And Sam, I know he called me, and I don't mean, I'm sorry if I'm putting words in his mouth, but it's not like he was, so I was gonna say, he almost said like, I feel like I let you down. I said, Sam, you didn't let me down. There's a human quality to all of this, and this is why at my tender age, that I'm trying to think of an alternative to try to end this system that we have now. That maybe we could get an all ID. So I'm gonna have a Zoom meeting with many retailers. They're coming up. I have already about, I'd say at least 20, 30, including some regional managers of some large chain stores that are gonna participate in this. I'm gonna see if it can work.
Bobby?
Have you paid the fine?
Yes.
I have no more questions.
Amit? Chris?
No questions, thank you.
I have one. in the last case, he put a system in place. And this one, we're still in research.
No, we have the system, we're trying to get a new system that creates more of a, less of a chance of somebody overriding.
So you have a system, you just didn't use it.
No, it's used every time an item is scanned into the system, the screen comes up.
in this, just so, so the system that they have, I can't say specifically, but from what I've looked through a lot of these systems. So previously, there wasn't the system that many of the, fact, even the big chains have. And it's a system built on, there's a requirement to scan the product. And then when the product is scanned, it directs the clerk to ID.
Mhm.
Now, when that screen comes up, usually on a portion of it, I call it, it looks like a calculator. And in the field where the numbers would be is where you insert the birthday, where the clerk would insert the birthday. Now invariably, depends on the system, some of them, of course, one of the things that is a human issue is if someone looks like me, there'd be that automatic, which, you know, they just type in the birth date to make me okay.
Mhm.
It wouldn't even have to be my exact birthday. But the weakness of the system, it's good, but the weakness of the system is it always leaves in the end the discretion to the person using it, human error. You know, we've gone through a history of, the state law used to be, if you looked under 27, then it moved to 40, the board here changed it to 40 to try to get rid of that, but it's still, the idea of even just having any discretion, someone will push the envelope, so to speak. So this is what they did get the system.
So they have a system
Yeah.
that requires you to type in a birthday.
That's right,
Person went in without an ID,
that's right.
and how did you type in a birthday? You made it up.
Either that, or either that, or it could have
There's
been
also a
overwritten.
there's also a button for over 40. So-
Okay,
So I
a
don't know,
teenager
I don't
went
know
in.
what, I don't know what that employee did. Whether they put in the date that would work, or they pushed to over 40.
So a teenager went in without an ID,
20.
20-year-old went in without an ID. Who theoretically does not look 40
That's right.
without an ID. And someone overrode the safety.
They either put a wrong date in, or they overrode it. And again, I don't know.
Somehow overrode the
Which is
safety.
one of the reasons that even before this even happened, we've been looking to update our point of sale system anyway.
That's the weakness of the system that we have now. And we've been in contact with a company called Boston North to get a better system in a way that it's a foolproof. They can't override the sale without scanning an ID. And we've been waiting, we've been in contact with them for the past month and a half, trying to get the system. The system that we have now, it's probably 8 to 10 months old, and we're already looking to replace it with a system. No, not 10 years old.
The system we have,
Yeah, that's another one. It's only four.
well, we got it when we started 5 years ago.
Right.
Regardless,
Regardless, yes, it's a weak system, got flaws, so now we're in contact with this new company. That supposedly they cannot authorize sale of cigarettes or tobacco without scanning an ID.
And just to provide context, this is, the system that they have is not much different from some of the major chains that use a similar system. It does, most of the systems out there, I've been doing extensive interviewing of retailers, including the member Sam. I've so far I have found somewhere about 9 or 10. In 2 of them, I can think of, one in Haverhill and one in Drake. The one in Drake is just humorous a little bit, because I said to the manager, I said, wow, we sent someone in there a few weeks ago and they were ID'd. It looked like they had to scan it, the clerk said that they had to scan it. She says, yeah, they do. I said, well, since when did you start doing that? He said, you. That's because they received a fine.
Mhm.
And that manager received like a $500 docking, a bonus stock or something like that. And I've seen this, it's a tough thing. I mean, from my end, and I explained it to Sam, is this is unless you lack empathy, both sides feel bad for each other. I feel bad for the fine because it's something that can be prevented. And he feels bad, he's gonna pay it, and we're here. So,
Right, but this is the same system that was in place when the original violation took place, and they told us back then, if you look back to the minutes.
yes.
He was researching a new system back then as well. Yeah,
I don't,
mm-hmm,
We did, we got a different system.
that was less than 2 years ago.
Yes. We
So, this system is less than 2 years old,
Yes, we got it last summer. I can give you the.
and you're looking to get a new system already.
Yeah,
yes, because well, I don't know what the flaws were in the old system, but the new system, or the system that was in effect at this time. Is the system, I can tell you, is the main system that most retailers have throughout, like collaborative. There's very few that have the one that I would like to see. Frankly, the one that again would end these. I'm looking for goose eggs for sales rates. But our overall rate throughout the collaborative is anywhere from 5 to 10%. And if we're hanging in right now around 9% that fail on the compliance check. And just growing, I'm trying to figure a way to the zero. Now, we've had some issues where I know they've had that system. And someone provided, I sent someone into a store in another community, they had this system. And I said, what happened? Because I knew they had the system. He came back with the vape product. And he said, oh, well, I set it in M&ID. She says, I'm sorry, this machine only it needs a scan, and it needs a scan in order to do an ID. He turned around, just about to leave the door, and the clerk said, wait a minute, come back. And she went into her own coat, and she grabbed her own ID. Well, she was terminated for that. It's an act of empathy, by the way, which it's not, it's misguided, it's illegal, all of it. But I try to explain to the student that it's an act of empathy. They think, oh, they thought he was of age, da 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 da. Now, when that, I do know one retailer in Westford. It's incredible. I don't know if you would want to go to these lengths, but when I mentioned that to him, he has a system where he enters the ID numbers on licenses for staff, so they're just inoperable. So they have it avoided. So if anybody wants to buy tobacco or liquor in the store, we can get a lot better, and it's an investment on the part of the retailers for sure, so. So I hope that answers a little bit of question. I know what you're saying in terms of what we did have that conversation. We mentioned that the system he had wasn't working. So the new system is the system that I'm talking about right now, scan.
So the last
Right,
time you were
Sam?
here, you got a new
Was I saying that
system,
right?
and that's not working.
yes,
What is the board's decision? I'll take a motion. If there's no more discussion. Bobby, before we make the motion, what are your thoughts?
What's the what are you?
What do you feel should be appropriate? As I'm asking your opinion, what
My
you,
opinion, the fine is exorbitant. They didn't sell the cigarettes, the kid did. They should never be fined $2,000. Now, what do we wanna, is the motion gonna be to suspend his license to sell for a day or 3 days?
that's what I'm asking you. What do you feel it should be?
There should be no suspension. They've already been punished enough. So I'll make a motion to not suspend their license to sell cigarettes for a day or 2 days or 7 days.
Amit, what are your thoughts?
I kind of agree that there should be no suspension, but I also want to kind of want to get assurance from the owner that they would try to install the new system as soon as possible, and they would let one of us know that, and also Jim know that that new system is installed, so such offense will not be
We've been
possible.
nagging at this company, because they've got to modify stuff on their software, so it'll work with our stuff. And we've been asking them for what, the last 6 weeks, almost every other week.
I do have the information, phone numbers, and because we got signage posted all over the store. we train our people at least 3 to 4 weeks, they're never alone. And they know what to do, and they're very educated. And the one who sold the Zimmer's miner, she's been with us for a year and a half, and she knows what to do. So we want a peace of mind, and we don't want any headache. We work hard enough, and, as Mr. Peter said, that, it costs us a lot of money, and that's not the issue. The issue is like, we don't wanna be punished more. We don't wanna have a headache. I wanna go home, have a peace of mind, and that's why we hoping that this system, the new one, will be a foolproof, even though we just have the system not too long ago, but it can bypass it. It has flaws, and we don't wanna work with it. We don't want these issues.
Just the other thing, is just to say, the $2,000 fine is equivalent to more than 10 days of cigarette profits.
Thank you.
Chris?
No questions, thank you.
I would feel differently if you had the system in place, if you had a date. I will request the same motion that we have a 1-day suspension suspended. I will not be supporting it, but I will request that same motion.
Make a motion that we give a 1-day suspension suspended to just quick stop.
Oh, with the assurance that the new system will be installed very soon. And I think that.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Right,
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. 3 in favor, 1 opposed?
who's opposed?
I am.
Oh, she said aye. I thought you said aye.
I am opposed.
Okay.
You have a 1-day suspension. It has been suspended. Don't come back before us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Excuse me, Sam, what is your last name?
Oh, Barry, B's and boy, A-R-A-K-T.
Oh, okay, that's it right here.
Yeah, Bassett.
So I just
Okay,
figured I would.
the first name kind of,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Next up, we have the water main project over at DPW, town director, apologize for the delay.
Good evening. For the record, Kelly Conway, town engineer. So is there a way that I can bring the file?
I don't know about, or do you confuse the board or not?
Oh, yeah. I thought, I was trying to think of, can I minimize this? Yes, we can. Okay.
Can you help? Ed, can you help him, please?
It's too long for me.
Yes. He's,
What can I do?
careful.
Not standing yet. All right. Thanks. Sorry about that.
That's, thank you.
Take your time.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you. So this is the water main project.
So on each of these roadways, we will be replacing the existing 2-inch water main with an 8-inch water main. Sections of some of these roads that we're doing work on, exist within and in proximity to the green or the FEMA floodplain. So I'm gonna go through the. So this is March Street, Summit Street, and Broad Street. Summit Road and Broad Street. So this here is the limits of the water main work here. With the exception of a short section of Broad Street here. That consists of a stream crossing. Work under the project occurs within paved areas. Only trench work is planned as part of the project. And the green engineering floodplain is here in the light blue shade here. So we're in the buffer zone to the green floodplain. And then this is a sort of a zoomed in aerial photo of the floodplain. So the road that ends here, if you can tell from the aerial, and then here. And so this is where the stream crossing is. We'll be just trenching through the stream. This actually dries up during parts of the year, and we'll be doing it in the dry. The stream crossing work will be as part of the conservation process. They're requiring an environmental monitor. He'll be present during this work. Any areas of exposed soil will be fully restored as part of the project, and we'll implement our erosion controls to protect any resources, resource areas as part of the work. The second area is on Devonshire Drive. So this is the Allen Road area. This is Marshbrook Road coming down from Allen Road. It's up here. This entire end of the project is entirely in FEMA floodplains. But again, the work is limited to within the roadway, within the paved area, and we're doing trench work only. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Callahan. I didn't get Callahan mentioned, I'm sorry. Did I miss
That's
it?
up here, sorry, that's part of.
Okay.
This is Callahan Street.
Mhm.
There's no work on Callahan itself.
Oh, no,
It's in the vicinity, but yeah,
so no work on Callahan.
right.
And what about Intervale?
Intervale, that's over here. Again, no work on Intervale Road itself. This is gravel road off of Devonshire.
And then the other one was Marshbrook,
Marshbrook, so will be just the work here at the intersection.
just the
Marshbrook,
intersection.
right, yep. To tie into the existing water main on Marshbrook.
Bob, any questions?
Marshbrook with relation to what, Devonshire?
Marshbrook this is, I think this label is incorrect, so Devonshire comes down and intersects with Marshbrook. Right.
Does it cross Allen Road? Yes.
This end of Devonshire comes up and intersects with Allen Road up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, no more questions.
Amit?
How long it would take to complete the project and the continue? would, that would have any interruption with the water or water quality, you know, because of the, yeah.
So what the contractor is gonna have to do is set up a, bypass, water main as part of the project initially. So there may be a shutdown, maybe for a day while that is, being tied in. But otherwise they'll have, you know, the people will have water throughout the project. And then, so we'll do our water work. And then, we'll switch over to the new water main after it's tested and chlorinated.
Chris?
No questions.
Mhm.
Actually, it's already been budgeted.
Yes. Can someone make a motion?
Make a motion to grant the waiver of regulation to the DPW for the water main project. In the Pinehurst area. I don't know how else to describe it.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second,
All right, all those in favor?
Aye,
aye,
Opposed? 4-0.
thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
thank you,
2025,
enjoy the digging.
Thank you.
2025 road grade paving program, you'll look at DPW.
Good evening. So this is for our annual paving program. We come, each year to you to rehabilitate some of our roadways. Again, the same thing, sections of some or all of these roadways are within or in proximity to the green and the FEMA floodplains. I'll go through the roads, one by one, but with the exception of a short section of sidewalk on Manning Road. Work under this year's program occurs within existing paved areas and not result in an increase in impervious area or change to any drainage patterns. Any areas of exposed soil will be fully restored again. Erosion controls are always installed in areas upgraded in resource areas.
Can I
So
interrupt for 1 second? Manning Road's not on our list. Middlesex Turnpike, Lexington, Lowell, Andover, George Brown, Bridge Street, Floyd, and Water.
I think maybe perhaps it's not on that cover sheet because there's no green or FEMA floodplains. And I'll go through the maps and show you. The maps were included in this middle, so which shows Manning, and so we can look at that one. So first I'll start with Lowell Street, running from Route 3A. Going to Old Elm Street. I believe we're actually going to shorten this section of work up to Colson Street for this year. Just as a point of information. Then we have Andover Road near the Tewksbury line, which runs from Newport Drive or near the railroad bridge up to Whipple Road. This is gonna be a mill and overlay. And then we have George Brown Street running between the, this is the George Brown Street pump station down this area, up to Whipple Road. This is gonna be a mill and overlay. Then we have Bridge Street between New Foster Road and Bridle Road. And then over here is Floyd Street between Boston Road and the school. Both are gonna be mill and overlay,
Just up to the school.
just up to the school, yeah. And then we have Water, Yale, and Canterbury Street. We'll be reclaiming those roadways. Those are off the Middlesex Turnpike. And then we have Middlesex Turnpike running from where the recent road work ended near the gas station in Pearl Road. All the way up to the approach to Concord Road. We'll probably end the project here with the sidewalks and here. This will be a mill and overlay. We did receive grant funding, and we do have some money from when the apartments went in at Lexington and Middlesex Turnpike.
Wow.
If you recall, yeah, we have some money from them. So we'll be redoing the sidewalks on Middlesex Turnpike, sidewalk on one side, replacing it with concrete sidewalk, and doing new granite curb on both sides of the street.
The whole length of Middlesex?
This whole stretch, yeah,
Well,
Wow, hallelujah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it should be nice. Then we have Lexington Road, we're gonna mill and overlay Lexington Road, I think you guys are all aware of the tip project that's gonna be starting this season up here at Boston Road, so we'll be starting at the limits of that project. And then working our way down essentially to the Bedford Town Line, the entire stretch, mill and overlay. And then just of note, we've been coordinating with the engineer on doing the rec, building. Timing on the two projects are not very good, so what we're gonna do is, skip over this section in front of the, where the new rec center's gonna go, and probably follow up with it next year. Cause they have some utility connections to do in the street, they're doing a gas connection and a water connection,
now where is it starting? Is it starting down by Glad Valley?
yes.
And then to the Bedford line?
Yep, and what we'll do is,
Wow.
like I said, we're gonna skip
Yeah.
this section, we'll probably skip between. Schoolhouse Lane. And. I'm gonna skip all the way to here. Where the new pavement
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah.
project made, you can try to follow. And then we'll do this section up to the town line. On the other side, this year, follow up with the other one next year. Oh, and then this is where Manning Road shows, and that's probably why it's not shown on your list, because there's no green floodplain in this area. And so the sidewalk that I did mention, the new sidewalk, is just right here. We're gonna close the gap between the sidewalk that they built as part of Middlesex Turnpike and just bring it up to Lexington Road to meet that sidewalk there.
Questions?
I have no question.
And that's it. That's all.
Any questions? Well, questions, thank you. Actually, I like a question. How many miles? And is this the entire plan for the whole town?
Oh, sorry, one other thing I did want to mention, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Just, we do have some additional roads just to mention to you for completeness. These are a list of the roads that we're doing some pavement preservation on, which is even more minor maintenance type work, and these are newer roads that we've paved, pretty much within the last 5 years. We're just sort of doing like a spot sealing, just a preventive maintenance, so these roads will last a lot longer.
Okay.
I can get you the mileage, I don't have it off the top of my head, I didn't bring that info. This is about,
Just curious. really.
this is $3 million, $4 million worth of work.
You had the sidewalks.
You had me at the roads in my neighborhood.
All right, we'll take a motion.
Motion to grant. Yeah, thank you. The 2025 roadway paving program for the Department of Public Works, Town of Barica. Request for waiver of regulations 5.5.005, 6.6.011, 6.6.012, 6.6.013, and 6.7.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous, 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice job, Kelly, thank you.
We have Big Al's Pizza. I don't see anyone here for Big Al's Pizza.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, there she is. Hi, thank you. Perfect spot, did not see.
I know.
Sorry. All right, Big Al's Pizza, 240 Nashville Road, requested waiver of regulations 2.2.001. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Mallory Shackford. I'm representing the last that one.
Okay, can you tell us what you're looking for?
So we are requesting waiver regulations for an external grease trap. Currently, we have a 50-gallon interior grease trap that is PDI certified. We're at 1,300 square foot lease space, so it's a very small space. The two previous tenants who had similar style restaurants are both granted this waiver and we're helping them as well. Our restaurant will sell pizza, salads, and subs. And we're going to be mostly takeout, so we won't be having dishes, throwaway plates and silverware. Our grease production will be minimal. The grease trap was installed within the last 6 years as well.
Crystal, do you have anything to add to this plan?
This is the former location of Zesties, and Zesties did have a waiver for the exterior grease trap. I recommend granting this. It's similar, and it's really just pizza, subs, and salad. It's pretty good.
All right. Bobby,
No questions.
Emmett, Chris,
No questions, thank you.
all right. Would we take a motion on this, please?
I make a motion to grant waiver of regulation for Big L Pizza for installation of a streamer grease trap.
Second,
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Unanimous, 4-0.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
thank
Good luck.
you.
Okay, last item on the agenda is review of draft regulations amendment, chapter 5, section 5, rules and regulation regarding the floodplain.
You can take them down and pass them around. Hot off the press. So if you remember back in February, I presented the FEMA, letter that said they updated the maps. The flood insurance maps, and what I presented, what you have in your packets is 1, 2, 3. The maps were updated and they're gonna be effective July 8th. The state has sent us a model floodplain bylaw regulation that they want all the communities in Massachusetts to model their floodplain bylaws after. So with that, number 2 is our chapter 5 for floodplain and the comments from the state that they reviewed our floodplain bylaw or our regulation. And they provided comments saying, this works, this doesn't work. And then number 3 is what I incorporated from their comments, definitions and the items from the model floodplain bylaw into our regulation to make it compliant. I can go through number 2 and tell you what's been updated if you'd like to do that. This has not been reviewed by the state or an attorney, and so this is a very rough draft. I anticipate having a review done by the next meeting. But I wanted to provide it to you because we need to have this amended and adopted before July 8th. Any questions about how you'd like me to proceed?
You know,
Sorry, Bob.
I'm all set, go ahead a bit.
I would request some time, at least for me to
Yes.
study this.
And I can email you these as well.
Well, I think it's okay, good enough.
Okay. If you like an
No, I have it.
Chris?
Who gets, are we the only approval for this, or does this have to go to town meeting?
What needs to go before town meeting is amendment to the zoning bylaw that I've discussed with Kat and Clancy, and they have proposed language to go before the town meeting that I think planning's gonna be reviewing. It's one article, it's a paragraph. Here is the language that is already been put together. But that needs a little bit more modification because, the US Department of Housing and Urban Development, Federal Insurance Administration, that needs to be changed out of the paragraph, but, overall, that's what's gonna be presented for town meeting. But we get to get everything else in our regulation.
So this regulation is not being presented at town meeting. Just the bylaw is, so we have until July, so we can take the month to read it and
Yes,
get your summarized version. Going to council, and we'll be back for our main meeting.
yes.
So we'll read this, get the summarized copy in our next packet and vote on it at the next meeting.
If, we do need to have a public hearing on the draft. If, we May meeting, we can have a public hearing, or in June, we can have a public hearing and adopt it. If you want to, wait for comments back from the attorney for May for discussion and then have a public hearing at the June, you're welcome to do that. Or just try to push it all.
So we don't need it for town meeting.
Oh, okay,
That's what I was asking. We don't need it for town meeting.
oh, okay.
So if we get the opinion back for May, review it, have public hearing in June, we have to adopt it in June. We have no, because we have to have it for July.
What's the penalty if we don't?
The town loses, all their flood insurance.
Okay, so I
So-
don't imagine that anybody's
Right.
gonna put up a stink.
They're not substantial changes. We've already had the backbone within our regulation. They're like new things, like they want each town to appoint a floodplain administrator. And that's just putting on a record of who's gonna be administering this bylaw, or in our case, this regulation. So they're not substantial modifications. FEMA has updated their standards for buildings and structures. So, that's also reflected. It's just some new language.
Is everyone good with the schedule of reviewing with the May packet?
Yeah.
Having a public hearing in June and voting in June? Everyone's good with that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, that is our plan.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Is there anything else on the agenda that we can discuss before we close the meeting? All right. What is the motion I'm looking for?
Motion to end the meeting, please.
I second that.
All in favor? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Stop the recording.
Closed. We can close the recording.